Next to you, it's the rule. By Luna, my love. Chapter 5. King Arthur. The fifth rule to know when staying in Camelot, and arguably the most obvious, is to never harm the king. Doing so invokes the wrath of the court sorcerer, which most often results in death, and it will not be a pleasant one. Arthur is going to die. It is a fact that he has grown accustomed to since he was taken hostage by a group of sorcerers 2 days ago. It is not the sorcerers he fears, though. No, he couldn't care less about whatever they are marauding about. It is Merlin who is going to kill him. Then he'll revive him just to rant and nag about how he said that Arthur shouldn't go on his hunting trip without him because he had a bad feeling. The thing is, Merlin has bad feelings all the time. Are they usually right? Maybe, but that's not the point. Sometimes Merlin will have a bad feeling and then be the one to cause the problem. For example, the riot in Anglia. Other times his bad feelings are about little things like food poisoning, an injured bird, or a knight scraping his knee. He always nags Arthur endlessly when he turns out to be right. But if Arthur didn't do something every time Merlin had a bad feeling, he'd never leave the castle. He secretly suspects that this is Merlin's lifelong goal, to keep Arthur confined in the castle where he can watch over him like a mother hawk. Not that he'd ever accuse him of it. That wouldn't be worth it. He finds that accusing Merlin of anything is never worth it. It is almost always better to play ignorant and let Merlin think he believes his lies, like the whole magic thing. How stupid does Merlin think he is? Arthur has known about Merlin's magic since the Griffin. He didn't say anything because he didn't want to watch Merlin conjure up pitiful excuses. It's painful for both of them. Instead, when Merlin finally told him, he pretended that he was ignorant all along, like he does with almost everything else. Another example is the time Merlin enlarged a man's tongue and made him suffocate after he tried to kill Arthur. Does Merlin seriously think he believes that the man randomly choked on his tongue to death? Yeah, that sounds reasonable. He even had Mordred lying for him. Arthur ignores it because it is better for his sanity if he lets Merlin have his way. But occasionally, he just can't handle it anymore. The sheep? Seriously? And the cow. Oh my god, the cow! How is he supposed to ignore these things? He is the king of Camelot. And then, whenever he accuses Merlin, somehow the whole thing turns around on him. Or worse, Merlin starts crying. Arthur can't handle the crying, even when he's positive it is a ploy to fool him. So, he allows Merlin to get away with the sheep, the cow, the riot, the fire, the quarantine villages, the blueberries, that one time with the pie, the bee's nest, the dress incident, and so many other things that he doesn't like to consider, or he is certain he will lose his mind. Arthur would like to emphasize that he is not stupid. He knows that Merlin has him wrapped around his demonic but cute little finger. What is he supposed to do? He can't help it! He can't help that Merlin only needs to smile to make Arthur smile. He can't help that he loves the way Merlin's nose crinkles when he is being indecisive. He can't help that Merlin's voice in the morning is the only acceptable thing to hear at that hour. And he can't help that Merlin batting his eyelashes definitely makes Arthur succumb to his wiles. Arthur can't help that he is in love with Merlin. There, he admits it. He is in love with an idiot. He knows it and has accepted it. He also knows that Merlin only sees him as a friend, though, so he keeps it a secret. He doesn't let anyone know, and he's done a pretty good job of it, if he must say so himself. Not even his closest knights are aware of his affections. That reminds him of his knights. His knights, who are currently chained to the wall of a decrepit castle in the middle of God knows where, as Arthur contemplates the best way to stop Merlin from nagging him to death. Leon, Percival, Elgin, Gawain, Lancelot, and Mordred are all there. His most trustworthy men. Mordred is new to the inner circle, but after Merlin pulled that stunt in his room, Arthur feels that the young knight more than deserves his spot. Arthur wanted to go hunting because he hadn't done so in a while due to all of his kingly duties. Merlin couldn't go because of some stupid meeting that Arthur couldn't convince him to postpone, as he'd already moved the date twice. Arthur was upset that Merlin wasn't able to come, but it's not like he could call off the whole hunting trip because of it, even if Merlin said that going was a bad idea. That would be too obvious. Arthur has to keep his feelings a secret. Because of this, everybody is here but Merlin, although they probably wouldn't be here at all if Merlin had come, chained against the walls while Arthur is tied to a chair in the center of the room being interrogated. "Could you just kill me now?" Arthur drawls, interrupting whatever the head sorcerer is ranting about. He has no clue. He would say that he stopped listening, but that would imply he ever started in the first place. He thinks it might be the blow to his head that he took when they were captured. His thoughts are kind of fuzzy. His head must be bleeding because he has to tilt it to the right to keep the blood from running into his eye. His arm is definitely broken, too. The ropes are not helping that. The knights blanch at the statement. Okay, fair. Maybe he shouldn't be goading a crazy sorcerer into killing him, but they aren't the ones who are going to have to deal with Merlin's nagging. The nagging is dreadful.
Excuse me? What about the nagging?
The sorcerer says. Maybe he said some of that out loud. Oh well. Arthur groans. Are you going to nag me too? The sorcerer seems very confused. Good. Arthur will confuse him to death. Just like Merlin will nag Arthur to death. Where is Merlin? Shouldn't he be here by now? It's been 2 days. 2 whole days.
What does he mean?
The sorcerer asks the knights. How should we know? His head is injured. We don't even understand him when his brain is functioning incorrectly. Gawain says. Arthur likes Gawain. He's a good friend. Thanks, princess. I like you too, most of the time. Huh. Did he say that aloud too? No matter. Why am I here? Arthur demands.
I just told you why you were here.
The sorcerer yells. Arthur winces. Clearly, the man has never had a headache. I was not listening. You were going on and on and on. It was so boring. He thinks the knights are looking at him more concernedly by the second. He's fine. He thinks he knows what he is doing. He is the king. The sorcerer stomps his foot. Not like Merlin does. Merlin is much better at that. This man looks like a stupid child.
I am not a child. I am the mighty sorcerer Wispy.
Arthur breaks out a laugh. Wispy. Oh my god. This man's name is Wispy. What kind of name is that? Wispy smacks him across the face. Wispy is a jerk.
Stop making fun of my name.
Arthur rolls his eyes. Does he think a mere smack is going to stop him from making fun of him? Merlin hit him with a pair of gloves repeatedly for 10 minutes once, and Arthur still didn't stop laughing at him for tripping over a bucket.
Oh my... Will you listen? I am demanding that you hand over your court sorcerer and all the information you have on him, or I will kill you and your men.
Arthur stares at him, probably looking disconcerted. My court sorcerer? Wispy glares.
Yes!
You want my court sorcerer?
I don't know why this is hard for you to understand. You will hand over the warlock that goes by the name of Merlin, or I will kill each and every one of you.
Merlin?
The court sorcerer Merlin. Yes!
Merlin? You want Merlin, not me?
Yes! We plan to use his power to conquer all of Albion.
Are you sure you don't want me? I am the king of Camelot. Arthur thinks Leon is going to have a fit.
Yes, I am sure. You are merely a way to get to the warlock, as you know all of his weaknesses, and you will tell me them in exchange for your life.
Arthur says, well, this is disappointing. That's another point for Merlin. Leon looks wary. Arthur, maybe you shouldn't...
Another point?
Wispy the ugly sorcerer asks, because he's a stupid idiot. Yes, Wispy.
It's Wispy!
Merlin and I have a bet over who the stupid evil villains like yourselves are after more often, me or him. Now Merlin gets into the point. Thanks, Whirly. Wispy hits Arthur again. The knights are shouting. It's like they don't care about his head either. Arthur is getting quite sick of this. He is tired, hungry, and in lots of pain. His vision is also spinning, which makes him feel nauseous.
You won't tell me how to capture your court sorcerer.
Sorry, Wispy. Merlin is not for sale today, Arthur announces, slurring like he drank too much ale. Wispy looks affronted.
I'm telling you!
Arthur goes, and I'm telling you that you cannot have Merlin because Merlin is mine.
I'm not asking.
He's mine! Mine, mine, mine! Arthur stomps his foot with all the might of a king who is currently tied to a chair with several injuries. That's how you do it, Wispy, he thinks or says aloud. He is not sure. Wispy kind of just stares at him. Then he stares at the knights.
This is the king of Camelot.
The knights shrug. So much for loyalty. You did hit him on the head. No one gave him the benefit of the doubt, Leon. He didn't do this either way. Lancelot shakes his head. No, Leon Gawain's right. He would do it with more dignity if his head wasn't injured, though. That's kind of your fault, Wispy. I am right here. Arthur exclaims, although he thinks it sounds warbly. Everything sounds warbly. Arthur does not like it. He squeezes his eyes shut to make the room stop spinning. He'd cover his ears if he could, but stupid Wispy tied the rope around his arms. Could you maybe come back later, Wispy? He's not going to answer anything properly in his current condition. He's been unaware that he's mumbling his thoughts for hours. He clearly is in no state to talk. Lancelot says. Wispy hops.
You all seem fine enough to answer questions.
You could torture me. Oh my god, Mordred! Why would you say that? He's already the King, Gawain. It is my job. We were talking him into leaving. It wasn't working. The Queen said, the Queen is not here, Mordred. All the same, I made a promise you could torture me, Wispy. I'd be honored. Mordred, we know you were brave, but we didn't know you were also stupid. I am stupidly brave. Can someone make him shut up?
Could you all shut up?
Wispy screams. Wispy is not pleased, but neither is Arthur, so he'll have to suck it up. Arthur chuckles. Ooh, you made Wispy mad.
It's Wispy! And who is this Queen you speak of? He is not married.
Wouldn't you like to know, Wimpy? Gawain snaps. Wispy shouts really loudly. Again! What's a king have to do to get some quiet around here?
I am going to speak to my men. When I come back, I will be given the warlock, and you will all die!
Thank God. If Merlin finds me, he'll know for hours. This will be a much quicker death. Arthur mutters. Wispy makes a strangled noise before slamming the door shut. Arthur flinches at the noise. Are you okay, Arthur? Your head wound seems to have grown much worse, Lancelot says. Arthur rolls his head over to look at the knight, only opening one eye because blood is dripping into the other at this angle. Fine. Where's Merlin? You keep asking us that, Arthur. He's not here, remember? Lancelot says, slowly, like Arthur is stupid. He is not stupid. It's been 2 days. 3, Arthur, it's been 3 days. Percival clarifies, speaking just as slowly.
He is not stupid!
We know you aren't stupid, sire. You just have a bad head injury and aren't remembering things clearly. It's okay. Leon says. Arthur squints his eyes at him, opening them both this time so he can see Leon better. I'm fine. Have I really been mumbling my thoughts? Yes, sir. For the record, we all know that you're in love with Merlin. You haven't even remotely hidden it from us, Gawain says. Is this really the time for that, Gawain? Elgin says. Gawain shrugs. You knew? Arthur asks. There was no way. He is a great secret keeper.
Gawain rolls his eyes.
The whole kingdom knows. Even other kingdoms know. We had to put Queen Dahlia in contact with Gwen so she would stop bothering Leon about planning your upcoming nuptials. She's very persistent, that woman. Arthur should feel embarrassed, but he doesn't really. Maybe he will later. He's really tired right now. Sire, it would be helpful if you could try to stay awake. We are very worried about you. One knight says. He can't tell which one with his eyes closed. He knows that it is not Merlin, though. He would recognize Merlin's voice. Why is Merlin not here yet? Where is he? He doesn't ever leave me. I'm sure he is on his way, sire. He's probably devising a plan. There are at least 50 men at this camp, and several of them are sorcerers. Arthur is really tired. He should sleep until Merlin gets here. Then he can nag at Arthur, and Arthur can pretend to hate the nagging, but really he likes it because he likes everything Merlin does. Except for the cow. Arthur did not like the cow. That was kind of extreme. Arthur, please do not go to sleep. Merlin will be here soon. Don't interrupt him, lads. This is pure gold. He just admitted to liking Merlin's nagging. Gawain, it is not right to take advantage of the king's state. Shut up, Leon. You act like you're such a perfect knight and follow all the rules, but we all know you had a hand in the cow incident. I was not aware that, Merlin. You were very aware. At least I didn't catch 3 taverns on fire. Only 2 of those were my fault. Why don't we all stay calm? You're not innocent either, Mordred. Yeah, we heard what Arthur said about the tongue incident. I lied about it. I didn't cause it. You helped Merlin make Lord Fulton fall into a pile of horse dung. That was from my magic lessons. Oh, is that what we're calling it? Arthur thinks he falls asleep for a short amount of time because the next thing he knows, he is awoken by another shout. Will you all shut up? Lancelot yells. Arthur thinks that Lancelot looks very upset. I am upset! While you've been in and out of consciousness, I've had to deal with all of them! That's a little uncalled for, Lance. Percival says, I've been well behaved. Lancelot sighs dramatically. My bad. I've had to deal with all of them but Percival! Percival nods. Thank you. Arthur would be lying if he said he didn't feel very confused. Where is Merlin? Why is he not here? Lancelot's anger dims. He is on his way, Arthur. He will be here soon, he says softly. Arthur hunches his shoulders, being careful of his arm because he thinks it is broken. I wish he was here. I know, Arthur. I do too, Lancelot says. Arthur shakes his head and moving it slowly to prevent any more pain. You cannot wish that too, because Merlin is mine. I told the Wilpie that Merlin is mine. No one else can have him, not even Lancelot. Merlin is mine. Several of the knights laugh, their chains rattling along with them. Lancelot has to add his swing at his shoulder. I know, sire. I never dare take him from you. Good. Merlin is mine. Merlin is yours, Lancelot agrees. We all telling Merlin about this, right? Gawain asks. It'll make his day. We are not telling Merlin anything, Arthur snaps. We will escape on our own, or he will nag Gawain. I don't want to be nagged. That's not what you said earlier, Princess. I do not know what I said earlier, but I know what I'm saying now. No telling Merlin. We will escape all by ourselves, Arthur declares, looking at each of his knights and stopping at Mordred, who is looking anywhere but at him. He sighs. You already told him, didn't you? With the mind thinking. Mordred looks down. Sire, Arthur moans. How could you? The nagging, Mordred! The nagging! Sorry, sire. Mordred says, not at all looking sorry, the bastard. Gawain gasps. You've been talking to him the whole time. I thought you knew. You didn't say anything. I assumed you knew. It's obvious that I would contact him. Why do you think he made me come with you? I hate hunting. But he had a bad feeling and knew I could contact him if anything happened. It was not obvious. It's not my fault you are stupid, Gawain. Arthur realized it with a head injury, and Lancelot definitely knew too. Lancelot did not. It was obvious, Lancelot confirms. I hate you, Lancelot. Anyway, now that Wispy is gone, I can tell you that the Queen is on his way. Mordred says smugly. Oh, thank God. This has been horrible. Percival whines. Lancelot shakes his head. How long will it be? Is the Queen bringing back up? He's a couple of hours away. I'm not sure of the exact... He's coming alone, isn't he? Arthur will be infuriated. Arthur is right here, thank you. We all know you are, Arthur. He's not coming alone. He said he's bringing a few knights. Lancelot sighs. That means he's bringing around 5 at most, Mordred. How could you let him? I don't let him do anything. He doesn't listen to me. Take it easy on Mordred. It's not his fault he's inadequate, Gawain says, just because he can. Why are you like this? I thought we were getting along. You said wrong. Mordred clenches his fists in their shackles. I'm going to tell the Queen. The Queen likes me more. The Queen doesn't like bullies. I am not a bully. Arthur is having a really hard time following the conversation. They are speaking quickly and his head is working slowly and painfully. One word keeps bothering him though. Who is the Queen? Arthur asks, making them all shut up. If he'd known that would do it, he would have asked ages ago. I'm not married. They all look at each other as if trying to decide who will answer him. He sighs because he might be injured, and they all might be spinning in circles, but he is still the king, and they will answer him. I asked the question, he states. Who is the Queen? I do not have a queen. Lancelot clears his throat because it's always Lancelot, as he is the bravest of them all. Thank you, sire. I am honored that you believe me to be so brave. The thing with the Queen, however, it's just that you do have a queen. I am not married, Arthur repeats. Lancelot smiles. No, but think about it, sire. Who is your queen? Arthur stares at him. He stares, and stares some more. He doesn't have a queen. He is not married. He is not married because he loves Merlin, and he will never marry another. He does not need a queen because he has... Oh! He laughs. Merlin is the queen. He states simply in between laughs. Yes, sire, Merlin is the queen. Lancelot confirms. Arthur keeps laughing. He thinks some of them laugh too. Do you all call him that? He asks when his head hurts from laughing. The whole kingdom does, sire, Lancelot says. Does he know? Elian smirks. He hasn't a clue. Arthur tries not to laugh anymore so that his head stops pounding so badly. That's nice, he said. He is the queen. Merlin is my queen. Lancelot nods. He is, sire. He's the best queen. Arthur smiles. Leon chuckles. There's not a better one out there. Will he be here soon? I miss him. He will, sire, Mordred says. The queen is on his way. Good, good. I miss him, Arthur says, his eyes gleaming at the thought of Merlin, but feeling quite tired from all of the laughing. We know, sire. One of the knights says. It takes Arthur a moment to realize his eyes are closed. I wish someone would look at me like that. Another one's eyes. Carl does. He does not, Gawain. I hate Carl. Just because you hate Carl doesn't mean he hates you. Ah! Arthur falls asleep to the bickering. He wishes it was Merlin's. When Arthur wakes the next time, it is to Wispy's face being far too close to his. Only Merlin's face is allowed this close to Arthur's.
Good. You are a wink,
Wispy says. His breath smells horrible. Wispy hits him again. He must have said it out loud. He doesn't regret it because the man steps back. Definitely worth a hit.
Have you decided whether your lives are worth that of the sorcerers?
Merlin? He has to clarify. His head is still a bit fuzzy. He can remember most of the conversations he's had, but some things are coming and going.
Yes, the sorcerer named Merlin.
I see. As I said before, Merlin is not available today. Come back on a day when he is nagging me, and I'll see what I can do. Arthur is glad when the words come out clearer than they had earlier.
You will risk your life and the lives of 6 of your men for that of 1,
Wispy asks, looking like he ate something sour. Arthur looks at his men. They may be able to bicker, but that's because they don't have a head injury like Arthur. All of them are injured in some other manner, though. He feels bad because by the looks on their faces, they know how he will answer the question. They know, and they agree with him. They seem to be saying something else, but Arthur cannot pick up on it. I would give up all my men for him. I'd give up my castle and my kingdom. I'd easily give up my own life. I will not give you to him, nor will I tell you anything that could harm him.
So you will die then?
Arthur shrugs. It appears so. Wispy nods.
If that is your final statement, then I have no use of you, King Arthur. I hope your dedication was worth it.
Wispy draws back the word of a spell on the tip of his tongue while Arthur's men are shouting, and Arthur actually feels a bit peaceful suddenly. He never gets past the first word. There was a sound so loud it shakes the walls. It sounds like thunder, Arthur thinks, and thunder comes with lightning, and lightning comes with Merlin. He wonders if that is why he felt so peaceful before. Part of him has always been able to sense when Merlin is near. He thinks it might have to do with that whole coin thing people are always going on about. Arthur also knows that Merlin would never let him do something as absurd as die, so he has to be here to save him. The sounds of screams follow. Then Arthur is laughing. He laughs so hard that he can't seem to stop. He feels more lucid than he has in days as he looks at Wispy's terrified face.
What is this? What have you done?
He demands, grabbing Arthur by his tunic. Arthur's words are very clear as he speaks. That, he pauses for dramatic effect, would be my queen.
Wispy pulls back. Your queen? You do not...
Can I let you in on a little secret? He leans forward. The queen gets very angry when people hurt the king. He smirks, leaning back as if he has all the time in the world. If I were you, I'd stop running. But Wispy does not have time to run. The door bangs open, and Arthur relaxes as he watches Merlin enter the room. His eyes are swirling gold. The power radiating off of him is so strong that it's even visible to Arthur, who has not an ounce of magic in his body. Arthur thinks he's beautiful. He wonders what Merlin looks like to Wispy, who was throwing his hands up and stepping away from Arthur in terror.
I didn't kill him! I didn't kill him!
No, Merlin growls, stepping forward, arm outstretched. But you were going to. He slams Wispy into the wall so hard that Arthur hears cracks. He's not sure if it is the shoddy foundation or Wispy's bones. Merlin has not turned to him yet. His eyes are focused on Wispy, watching as the man screams in agony. It looks like Merlin is burning him from the inside out. If Arthur was anyone else, he might be afraid to speak to Merlin when he is in a fit of rage like this. He knows all of the knights are, even Lancelot, despite knowing that Merlin would never harm them. When Merlin is in one of these rages, whenever Arthur is harmed, that is, he becomes blinded by his anger. He won't stop until every person who dared to threaten the king is dead unless somebody stops him, and that somebody is Arthur. "Merlin," he says calmly. The magic deflates instantly, but Arthur's eyes are still gold when he turns to Arthur. "Arthur?" He responds so softly that it breaks Arthur's heart. Wispy is on the floor, wheezing. He is alive, barely. Merlin will draw this out if he is allowed. He will make the man's death as slow and painful as possible. Arthur won't let him. It is not that Arthur thinks the man doesn't deserve it. He does. He had plans to hurt Merlin, after all. But he knows Merlin. When Arthur is not there to stop him, to be there when he comes down from this high, he withdraws, believes himself to be a monster. There are many things that Arthur allows Merlin to get away with. That is not one of them. "Snap his neck, Merlin," Arthur commands, keeping his voice gentle but strong. He is using all of his energy to make sure he sounds lucid. Merlin frowns, his lip wobbling. "But he hurt you! He was going to—" "Oh no," Arthur says. "And he deserves it. He does. But I'm injured. I need your help, Merlin. Do you see? I broke my arm, and my head hurts very badly. You cannot help me if you are distracted by him." Merlin's anger is replaced by concern, but the sadness remains. He looks at Wispy, still unsure. "Do it for me, Merlin," Arthur says tenderly. Merlin nods. There is a quick flash of his eyes, the echo of a snap, and Wispy is nothing more than a soulless body. Merlin is hovering over Arthur before the king has time to blink. There is another flash, and the ropes fall off. He starts to tilt sideways off of the chair, but Merlin catches him. He always does. He watches dazedly, letting himself relax as Merlin gently pats him over for injuries, using bits of magic where possible. He can't heal major injuries like Arthur's arm or head wounds, but he can help with superficial scrapes. Arthur loves Merlin's magic. It always washes over him, warm like a blanket. He sinks further into Merlin's arms. Merlin smiles at him, cupping his jaw and healing his split lip. "My magic loves you too. It always reaches out to you whenever you are near. I've had to learn to rein it in." "You shouldn't," he whispers. "It's hard to explain, but it's comforting. I miss it when it's not here." He pauses. "I miss you when you are not here." Merlin reaches for the top of his head, where the blood keeps dripping into his eyes, inspecting the wound with great care. "I missed you too, Arthur." The magic is warm, and Arthur feels drowsy. His eyelids start to fall, but he struggles to keep them open. He hasn't seen Merlin in days. He will not sleep now that he is finally here. "I kept asking for you," he mumbles. "I kept asking, but you weren't here." Merlin's smile turns pained. Arthur didn't mean to upset him. "I know, Mordred told me. I came as soon as I could." "You always come," he says, shooting his eyes open when he realizes he has shut them. "Yes, and I always will," Merlin promises, reaching for his arm. Arthur groans in pain. "I'm sorry, I know it hurts." "It's okay." He remembers something then. "They wanted you, you know." Merlin raises an eyebrow. "Oh yeah? That sounds like another point to me." Arthur grins lazily. "But I told them no. They cannot have you because you are mine." Merlin looks up from where he is inspecting Arthur's arm, his cheeks flushed. "Am I now?" Arthur nods firmly. "Yes, you are my queen, mine, and I will give you up to no one." Merlin cups his jaw again, his thumb rubbing across his cheek. "Your queen?" "My queen. The best one there is." Merlin's face grows redder as he smiles bashfully at the ground. "I suppose that is agreeable, but only if you promise to be my king." Arthur leans forward, still struggling to stay awake with Merlin's warmth surrounding him. "Of course I'm yours," he says, as if it's outrageous to consider anything else. "Who else's would I be?" Merlin meets his gaze, then blue eyes flickering gold. "He really is beautiful." "I love you," Arthur says aloud, purposefully. It's not a thought meant to stay in his head. He says it with conviction. It is the clearest thought he's had in a long time. I love you too, Merlin says, no hesitation in the words, just awe and reverence. Arthur's smile returns, but he can't stop his eyes from drooping again. Rest, Merlin whispers. I'll be here when you wake. Arthur starts to drift off, lulled by everything that is Merlin, until he's interrupted by Gawain. Sometimes Arthur hates Gawain. Not that wasn't super sweet and all, but could you help us out of it, Merlin? These chains are really starting to hurt my arms.
Merlin squeaks,
flipping his wrist. The knights fall to the ground. I'm sorry, Gawain, I forgot. Us? Yeah, we noticed. God, Gawain, can't you ever shut up? They were having a moment. Arthur was falling asleep, Mordred. The moment was over. It wasn't. Emrys was still staring at him with love and compassion. He does that every day. It's not every day he confesses his love and stares at him with love and compassion. Then, because Arthur is destined to never get some peace and quiet with the man he loves, the door bangs open and some of his knights fall through. You said to give you half an hour, my lord. Is everything okay? One of them asks. Merlin nods. Yes, I mean, Mordred, you're okay! I was so worried! Get off me, Carl. I'm fine. You're injured! I'm not. Ow! Stop touching me. You could be nice, Mordred. Carl was just trying to help. Shut up, Gawain. Merlin helps Arthur stand, wrapping an arm around his waist and being extra careful to not bump his bad arm. Lancelot, the least injured of his knights, grabs his good arm and throws it over his shoulder. No one mentions the dozens of dead bodies they walk through to reach their horses. They don't mention that of the knights that arrived with Merlin, none had unsheathed their swords. No one mentions any of this because it is not the first time something like this has happened, and it probably won't be the last. There will always be people trying to harm Arthur, but Merlin will always be there to stop them. And if that means raising hell in the process, then so be it. It takes a moment, but eventually Arthur is sitting on a horse in front of Merlin, who is fretting over him at every possible moment. He is finally drifting off when he hears Merlin lean forward. Don't think you've escaped my ire. You will be getting an earful when we get home, and you're healed. Arthur groans, as if it is the worst pain he can imagine. It's not. In fact, he wouldn't have it any other way. Merlin was not lying. A few days later, when Arthur is healed, he unleashes the wrath equivalent of a god's. And I am so sick of you not listening when I tell you I have a bad feeling. I tell you time and time again, but do you listen? No! And then, guess what? Then guess what happens? Guess, Arthur? Oh yeah, you get injured. Do you know how that makes me feel? Do you? Certainly not like a basket of daisies. You are careless with yourself. Don't you dare bring up the cow incident. That doesn't change the fact that I love you. Merlin stops pacing and turns to the king. What? Arthur smiles as he steps closer to him. I love you. Merlin squints, accusation coloring his eyes, and steps away. No! If you think this will make me stop! Arthur doesn't let him get far, pulling him in by the tunic so that they are a hair's breadth away. I love you. I love your smile and when you laugh. I love you when you cry and are raving mad. I love you when you spend half the day nagging me. I love you more than everything else combined. Merlin opens his mouth to argue, but then Arthur's lips are on his, and he melts so easily, all his anger fading away as he gives in to the kiss. Queens are not the only ones with tricks up their sleeves. Kings, you see, can be just as convincing, especially when it comes to their queens.